You are not God. Even God he receives. That's why he receives worship. He receives praise. That fills God's tank up. You are not better than God. You are not here just to give. You are not arrived enough that you can receive. And obviously, you can understand that when I'm talking about giving and receiving here, I'm talking about both tangible, intangible, physical, metaphysical. It doesn't matter. For as long as you are giving, you are receiving, right? Some giving is physical. Some giving is just metaphysical. Some giving is both. Some receiving is physical. Some receiving is metaphysical. Some giving is both. Allow the interplay, because we need them all. Don't forget, we're not just one natured, right? We have we're spirit, we have a soul, we live in a body. All our giving comes from all of those realms. All our receiving comes from all of those realms, right? What fills us is what fills the totality of our being, not just our spirit, not just our soul, not just our body. You have to be open to receive from the totality of your being, right? Let's move on. All right. So strong relationships make for a good life, right? It's not just relationship, it's the quality of the relationship. So if you want to have a good life, you need to have a strong relationship. You need to have a good relationship, because it also helps you, in your health. Also, it affects your health, right? So it's all kinds of relationship, not just one. It could be relationship between father and son, father and daughter, husband and wife, siblings, uncle, auntie, worker, church, all the different places you find yourself where there are linkages, right? I got to go out this evening. My elementary school classmate, as our daughter's introduction today, right? And this is from 1978, right? So how many years is that? That's about 45 years ago, right? From 1978. Now, will I be correct? Yeah, about 45 years ago. That's how long the relationship comes from. But you see, that gives you life. That gives you life. It's not limited to just people you meet today and all of that, So 45 years ago, I got the privilege of being at a daughter's introduction today, and that gives you life. Like that gives you the essence of living, the essence of being, right? Let's go on. All right. So the good life brings together, that's this book, brings together science and personal stories to show how connections with others build a foundation for our well-being. So that's the book. The book brings science, also brings personal stories. There have been people that have been studied for more than 75 years, so all of that together will bring from different places, so we can get a robust learning. That's what the book provides us, right? So the book itself contains 10 chapters, right? And so the first chapter, like I said, is what makes for a good life. So that's what we're going to discuss in the third chapter. And like I said, that might take us up to anywhere from 2 to 5 weeks. We'll see. Then number 2 talks about why relationships matter, right? And chapter 3 talks about relationships on the winding road of life, And 4 talks about social fitness, keeping your relationship in good shape, right? What it takes to make sure your relationship is in the right place, right? Not too close, not too far, whatever it takes. We'll talk about different dynamics of relationship, in that wise, And chapter 5, we're going to be talking about the attention to relationship, how we nurture, we nurture, we attend to, we cultivate our relationship to get the best benefit out of it. So we're talking about nurturing, cultivating, attending to our relationship, in chapter 5. So in chapter 6, we're going to be talking about facing the music, right? Adapting to challenges and relationship, challenges and relationship, right? We'll talk about that. I'm going to share my own life experience. I probably have a lot, how to dance to the different music, as relationship could play tricks on you, So we'll look at that in chapter 6. In chapter 7, we'll look at the person beside you, right? Which will pretty much be your spouse, or any other kind of relationship that's intimate, how intimate relationships affect our lives, different people, have their proximity, closeness to you, and those that are closest to you can more easily hurt you than people that are far away from you, right? So anybody you allow into your inner circle can hurt you bad, because your nerves are exposed to those people as compared to people outside, And as I said a lot about that when I was out overseas working, I had all my guards up, right? I had my guards up, so it was easy for me to protect myself, from being hurt. But I get back here and I thought I was back home, and I threw all my guards down, and there was a devil, at work trying to hunt me down. People told us people that are supposed to be my friends, those could really hurt bad, So we'll talk about some of those in chapter 7. Chapter 8, we talk about family. Family is all you got. I remember a colleague, who was working in the UK, and just before he arrived, things changed the name, and he recalls that incident, how much what made a difference for him was his wife, right? When every other thing is gone, those that will stay with you are the people you call family. Sometimes they could be blood relations, sometimes they could not, but family are those that stay closest to you, and they are not there because of what you can give. They are there just because you are you, right? And we'll talk about that in chapter 8. In chapter 9, it talks about the good life at work, investing in connections at work. I just gave an example about work, and we'll talk more about that in the workplace, how to relate with different people, and how to nurture and those relationships, but know the ones put at bay, don't know where to place each one, because that's important. Life is not for the simple. Yes, we need to simplify life, but life is not for the simple. If you are simple, you will not make it in life. You will not make it in life. You are simple, right? Life is not for the simple. So you need to be aware of life to overcome life, right? So, and in closing, in chapter 10, we'll talk about all friends have benefits, right? And that's just what we earlier spoke about, as we spoke about the definition, or the classical definition of a healthy relationship, right? So we'll close that, and probably there's a summary section where we talk about it's never too late to be happy, right? It's never too late to be happy. No matter how old you are, you can always be happy, right? Happiness is not happiness is a decision. It's a personal decision. So it's not tied to any particular location. It's not tied to any particular person. Those are myths. It's not tied to location. It's not tied to a place. It's not tied to any particularity. It's only tied to you. You are your happiness. You are your happiness, because happiness is a personal decision. It's a personal responsibility. It's a personal adventure. It's a personal venture. And we'll talk more about that. All right. We're going to look at some quotes in closing today, and some quotes that have been put in together along with this journey. And we'll probably look a bit more close at some of them as we go on the journey. But today, let's do an introduction to these quotes, right? It says, Socrates says, not life, but good life is to be chiefly valued. It's not about just life, just life. You don't just want just life. You want a good life, a good life, a good life, a good life. You want to stay in a good place that you have classified as good for yourself. You want to ride a good car. You want to live in a good place, we said. You want to be able to You want to have good children who go to good schools, who grow good, and have good professions, you need to set what good is for you. You need to set for yourself what makes for a good life. When you are on your dying bed, when you're on your dying bed, what kind of life would you consider that you have lived a good life? You need to have a picture of that, and ask yourself, what do I need to begin to do today so that I can get to that result? If you don't do that, it will not happen. Good life does not happen by chance. It's not a happenstance. It is something that you create and you bring into existence by a structured plan and a definite action, right, towards it, right? If you don't do that, it will not happen, right? So it's about having a good life, not just life, right? And the second one talks about, this is Dennis Watley puts it this way. He says, a good life is a collection of happy moments, right? As much as I want to have a good life when I die, right? That good life is going to come into existence every moment, every second that I find myself, right? Right now, I am having a part of what I consider to be a good life. Years ago, I wrote down for myself, being a teacher, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to teach you, bless people, and I want to be so fluent. I made a decision not to use big English that speaks over people's head, but to say things that a small child can understand, be able to break things down to the smallest, way it can be. Understanding is my drive because I am a teacher, right? So every moment, I am creating, I am adding to what a good life is for me, right? And the third one says, the good life is built with good relations, right? That's what Robert Bodinga said, right? A good life cannot be without relations, right? My good life that I've just described right now is because I have this privilege to share this with you, right? You can imagine me saying this to myself. It won't be as good as me being able to say to you. That makes it good, right? That makes it good that I have the privilege to say to you and you can be blessed. That is why it is a good life for me, right? And the last one on the slide says the good life is one inspired by love, guarded by knowledge, by Bernard Russell. A good life is inspired by love from your heart, but don't leave your head behind. Listen to your heart. Be motivated by your heart. Let your heart lead you, but don't leave your head behind. Your heart is not your head. Your head is not your heart. You have to set the right boundaries. If you don't set the right boundaries, you won't get a good life. People will abuse your love. People will abuse your love. People will abuse your good nature. You will regret your loving if you don't have knowledge, if you don't have understanding. Again, we'll talk about people divorcing. People don't divorce because they stop loving. They divorce because they lack knowledge, they lack understanding, they lack wisdom. They don't lack love. What they lack is the ability, the knowledge, the understanding of how to live with one another. That's what they lack. They don't lack the love. A good number that divorce don't lack the love. They just don't understand how to stay in a small place together. We'll talk more about that. Let's go on. All right. On my last slide, last two quotes here. So Carl Rogers says a good life is a process. It's not just going to come one day. It's a process. Don't forget, I just named that big process on my dying bed today. There's the in-between. The in-between is a process. You grow into it, you learn, you apply, you grow into it, you grow into it. I'm able to say this because of what I've learned, but I'm not done yet. I'm still learning, I'm growing, right? I'm going to learn a lot from this book. I'm going to learn a lot from this discussion and become even better than I've always been, right? It's a process, right? It's a process, and we have to keep on pressing until our dying day. Remember Michelangelo on his dying bed said, I am still learning. That is my plan. On my dying bed, I'm going to say, I am still learning. I'm not going to get to a place where I think I've learned it all. Oh, no, I'm not a dinosaur. No, no, no. On my dying bed, I want to still be able to say, I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still getting better, you know. And lastly, uh, Germany, Kant says, convince yourself every day that you're worthy of a good life. Wow! I want to shout. Because if you don't believe it, you will not walk at it. If you don't walk at it, you will not arrive at it. You have to believe that you deserve it enough to push for it. You have to have enough sense of yourself to want it and to go for it. Don't be a prisoner of your circumstance. Don't be a prisoner of your situation. Don't be a prisoner of your location. Don't be a prisoner of your birth. You can have a good life irrespective of what your past has been. You have to believe that you're worthy of it. Your creator says you're worthy of it. Picture it, and let's begin to walk towards it, right? So let go of stress, breathe, stay positive, and all is well. All right. Thank you. That's all I got for today. I look forward to a great study together. God bless you. Have a great week and a great month of July. See you next week. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.